You know we love you, but we just can't afford 2 private tuitions. That was the moment I stopped chewing. Fork halfway to my mouth, frozen. The words were casual, tossed out like a weather report. My mum reached for the bread basket like she hadn't just carved open my chest and spit inside. I looked at my dad. He didn't meet my eyes, just kept sipping his wine, swirling it like he was some Wall Street sommelier, instead of a guy who'd just told his daughter her dreams weren't worth the investment. My name's Annabelle, and that was the night I realised I was on my own. Gage got into Yale, my mum added, smiling like she'd won something. We're going to make it work for him. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I was 17. I had a 4.3 GPA, had worked 2 part-time jobs since sophomore year, and had just gotten into Northwestern with a partial scholarship. But Gage had potential. Gage was the golden boy. I pushed my plate away. Community college has great programs, my dad said, finally looking at me. You're practical. You'll make it work. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just nodded, stood up, and walked upstairs. That was the last family dinner I ever attended voluntarily. 2 weeks later, I was enrolled at Westfield Community College. I got a job at a dry cleaner during the day and took classes at night. I lived on instant noodles and vending machine coffee. My parents called sometimes, usually to brag about Gage's latest debate win or his networking dinners. I'd listen, say, "That's great," and hang up before they could ask how I was doing. They didn't really want to know. I started freelancing. Small business consulting, mostly for local shops trying to survive the Amazon era. I'd help them streamline their inventory, set up digital payment systems, rebrand their websites. Word spread. I was good. Better than good. One night, after finishing a logo redesign for a bakery, I checked my email and saw it. A photo attachment from my mum. Subject line, "So proud of our boy." I clicked it. Gage, in his cap and gown, standing on the Yale lawn with my parents on either side of him. Champagne flutes raised, grins stretched wide. The kind of photo you frame and hang in the hallway. I wasn't in it. I stared at the screen for a long time, then closed the laptop and went back to scrubbing the bathroom floor. I'd picked up a second job at a gym to cover textbooks. The next morning, I texted Olivia. "You still hate your job?" she replied in seconds. "With the fire of 1,000 suns. I have an idea." We met at a diner off 6th Street. She was in a pencil skirt and heels, makeup flawless, but the circles under her eyes were deep enough to swim in. "I'm starting something," I told her. "Real consulting, not just side gigs. I've got 3 clients already. I need someone to help me scale." She blinked. "You're serious?" "I'm broke, exhausted, and running on spite. I've never been more serious." She leaned back in the booth, smiling slowly. "Let's burn it all down." We started in my apartment. 1 desk, 2 laptops, and a whiteboard we stole from her old office after hours. We called ourselves A&O Strategies. It sounded like a law firm. Clients liked that. I didn't sleep much. I didn't date. I didn't go out. Every dollar went back into the business. Every win felt like a middle finger to the people who thought I'd settle for practical. A year in, we landed our first 6-figure contract with a regional grocery chain. I called my mum that night just to see if she'd ask how I was. She didn't. "Gage just got offered a summer internship in DC, she said. "He's such a natural leader." I hung up before she finished the sentence. A few months later, I saw Gage's post on LinkedIn. "Thrilled to announce my promotion to Strategic Director at Linton Partners." There was a photo of him in a suit, leaning on a glass railing like he owned the skyline. I stared at it for a while, then clicked on the comments. All congratulations. All fluff. But something didn't sit right. I called Olivia. "Can you look into Linton Partners?" she called back 20 minutes later. "He was let go 3 weeks ago, downsizing. That post is fake." I laughed so hard I nearly spilled my coffee. For the first time in years, I felt something close to peace. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their money. I was building something they couldn't even see, let alone understand. But I wasn't done. Not yet. They taught me to survive without them. Now they were going to learn what I'd become. "Okay, but hear me out," Olivia said, balancing a takeout box on her knee. "What if we stop calling it a project and start calling it a firm? I looked up from my laptop, eyes burning from 10 straight hours of spreadsheets. We don't even have an office. She gestured around the cramped apartment. This is an office. It has a desk, a printer, and a CEO who hasn't showered in 3 days. 2, I muttered. She grinned. Progress. We were living off caffeine, adrenaline, and the occasional stolen Wi-Fi from the neighbour's unlocked router. But the work kept coming. Word of mouth was faster than any ad campaign. One coffee shop owner told a florist. The florist told a boutique. The boutique told a yoga studio. Suddenly we were booked out 3 months. Our first real test came with a logistics company in Jersey. They were bleeding money and didn't know why. I spent 3 nights tearing through their books, rewriting their supply chain strategy from scratch. Olivia handled the client meetings, smoothed egos, and translated my bluntness into something resembling diplomacy. When they wired the payment, $45,000, I stared at the screen for a full minute. Is that a typo? I asked. Nope, Olivia said, popping open a bottle of cheap champagne. That's our worth. I didn't cry, but I did sit on the floor and let the bubbles go to my head. We moved into a tiny office downtown. Brick walls, flickering fluorescent lights, and a leaky ceiling, but it was ours. We painted the walls white, bought used furniture off Craigslist and slapped our logo on the door. A&O Strategies. No one needed to know it stood for Annabelle and Olivia. We hired our first intern, a college kid named Marcus who thought we were badass. We paid him in coffee and experience until we could afford more. He didn't complain. One afternoon, while Olivia was out meeting a client, my phone buzzed. Dad. Just checking in. How's your little project going? I stared at the message. Little project. I typed and deleted 5 different replies before settling on. Me. It's going. He didn't respond. Later that night, Olivia came back from her meeting with a smirk. You'll love this, she said. Guess who I ran into? God. To apologise? She laughed. No. Your brother's old friend, Tyler. The one who used to call you boss baby. I rolled my eyes. What does he want? He just got laid off. Said Gage might be next. I paused. Seriously? She nodded. Apparently Gage's promotion was more like a reshuffling. They're trimming the fat. I leaned back in my chair, letting that sink in. Huh! Olivia raised an eyebrow. You okay? Yeah, I said. Just processing. I didn't gloat, not out loud. But inside something shifted. The pedestal they built for him was starting to crack. That weekend, I skipped sleep and built a new proposal for a chain of wellness spas. Olivia reviewed it Monday morning, coffee in hand. This is brilliant, she said. You sure you don't want to sleep first? I'll sleep when we hit 7 figures. She laughed, but I wasn't joking. The next few months were a blur. We landed 3 new clients, doubled our revenue, and finally hired a full-time assistant. I started wearing real blazers instead of hoodies. Olivia made me get business cards. We were still working 12-hour days, but now they came with catered lunches and a cleaning service. I even upgraded from instant noodles to actual groceries. My fridge had vegetables. That felt like success. Then one night, I got tagged in a post. Gage, standing in front of a skyline, captioned, "Grateful for new beginnings. Onward and upward." No company name, no job title. I clicked on the comments, all vague congratulations, no specifics. I texted Olivia. He's lying again, she replied with a screenshot from a recruiter site. Gage's profile was marked open to work. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I locked my phone and went back to work. That Friday, Olivia and I sat in our office, eating Thai takeout and reviewing quarterly numbers. We're going to need more people, she said. Real hires, not just interns. Ibrahim's coming in next week, I said. He might be a fit for HR. She nodded. Good. We're getting too big to wing it. I opened a new spreadsheet. Let's plan out the hiring funnel. Before we could start, my phone buzzed again. Mom. Can we talk? It's about your brother. I stared at the message. Olivia glanced over. Everything okay? I showed her the screen. She raised an eyebrow. You gonna call back? I shrugged. Let's finish the funnel first. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. They never called about me. Not when I got my first client, not when I moved into the office, not when I paid off my student loans in full. But now, when their golden boy was slipping, now they wanted to talk. I didn't know what they'd ask, but I knew one thing for sure. I was ready to answer. The event was called Pitch and Pour, which basically meant overpriced cocktails and a lineup of tech bros trying to sell apps no one needed. Olivia and I went because 2 of our clients were sponsoring it, and networking never hurt, especially when half the room was drunk and bragging. I was halfway through a flat gin and tonic when I heard the voice. Still the same, huh? Cheap drinks, loud music, and a desperate crowd. I turned. Jake. Same smug smirk. Same gelled hair. Same tailored blazer that screamed, I still think I'm 22 and important. Jake, I said flatly. Annabelle. He gave me a once-over. Wow, you look successful. I am, I smiled. And you look like you're pivoting. He laughed, but it didn't reach his eyes. You heard about the app? Which one? The one that tracked your friends' moods, or the one that helped you optimize your brunch schedule? Funny. He sipped his drink. We're rebranding. It's a lifestyle platform now. That sounds like something you say when you're out of money. He blinked, then laughed again. You always had bite. I remember that. I didn't respond. Olivia appeared at my side, eyes narrowing. Everything good here? She asked. Peachy, I said. Jake was just explaining how failure is the new innovation. Jake raised his glass. To reinvention. We left him standing there and headed toward the stage. A guy in a hoodie was pitching a budgeting app for freelancers. It was terrible, but the crowd clapped anyway. I hate this place, Olivia muttered. Same, I said. Let's make it worth it. During the Q&A, I raised my hand. Your monetization model assumes a 30% user conversion rate. What data supports that? The guy stammered. Olivia leaned over. You're such a menace. 2 investors came up to us afterward. We chatted, exchanged cards, and set up meetings. Jake watched from across the room, his jaw tight. Later, in the Uber, Olivia turned to me. You know he used to call you delusional behind your back, right? I know, I said. You crushed him tonight. I looked out the window. Didn't feel like anything. The next day, I was back at the office before sunrise. My inbox was overflowing, and Ibrahim was waiting in the lobby with a stack of resumes. We reviewed them over coffee. He was calm, methodical, and sharp, the kind of person who didn't waste words. I like him, I told Olivia after he left. Let's bring him on. Done, she said. Also, your mum called again. I froze. She left a voicemail, Olivia added. I didn't listen. I nodded and pulled out my phone. The message was short. Hi, sweetheart. Your brother. He's having a hard time. Can we talk? I played it twice. Her voice sounded tired, not sad, just inconvenienced. I deleted it and went back to work. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Jake's face, the investor's interest, the look in Olivia's eyes when I tore through that pitch. I'd won. Again. But it didn't feel like a win. The next morning, I was in the middle of a Zoom call when my phone buzzed. Mum. Please, lunch, just us. I stared at the message, then typed a reply. Me. Fine. Friday, noon. The bistro. Olivia looked up from her desk. You sure? No, I said. But I'm going. Friday came fast. I wore a navy suit and heels sharp enough to stab. They were already at the table when I arrived. My mum in pearls, my dad in a blazer he'd probably worn to Gage's graduation. Annabelle, my mum said, standing to kiss my cheek. I let her, then sat. The waiter came. We ordered. Small talk. Weather. The traffic. My dad asked if I still lived in that little apartment. I own a condo now, I said. Oh, my mum said, blinking. That's nice. Silence. Then she leaned in. It's Gage. I waited. He's struggling, she said. He lost his job. He's been applying, but nothing's sticking. He's depressed, my dad added. Withdrawn. We're worried. I picked up my water. And? Well, my mum said, we thought maybe you could help. I raised an eyebrow. Put in a good word, she said. Maybe at your company? My fork clinked against the plate. You want me to get him a job? It's just an entry-level position, my dad said. He needs structure, a place to rebuild. I looked at them. The same people who told me to be practical, who funded his Ivy League education and sent me to community college, who never once asked how I was doing when I was working 2 jobs and eating canned soup. I smiled. "Sure," I said. "I'll see what I can do," my mum exhaled. "Thank you, sweetheart. We knew you'd understand." I paid the bill before they could argue. Back at the office, I walked into Olivia's office. "Set up an interview," I said. "Entry level. No favours." She looked up. "For who?" "My brother." She blinked. "Seriously?" "Yep." She studied my face. "You're not doing this out of kindness." "Nope." She didn't ask anything else, just nodded and opened her laptop. As I walked out, I passed Ibrahim in the hallway. "Hey," I said. "You might be getting a new team member soon." He raised an eyebrow. "Should I be worried?" I smiled. "Not at all. Just keep a close eye." That night, I poured a glass of wine and opened a blank document. I typed out the job offer, and at the bottom, I signed it. Annabelle, Chief Executive Officer. I hit print. Gage showed up 20 minutes late to his interview. Olivia watched him swagger through the glass doors like he owned the place, sunglasses still on, coffee in hand. She didn't say a word, just buzzed Ibrahim's office and let him know the candidate had arrived. I watched everything from the security feed in my office. He didn't recognise Olivia. That was the first red flag. She stood to greet him, hand extended. "Hi, I'm Olivia. Thanks for coming in." He barely glanced at her. "You the assistant?" She blinked. "I'm the COO." "Oh." He laughed. "Right, sorry, never mind." He sat down without being asked. I muted the volume and leaned back in my chair. Olivia was a pro, calm, collected, polite. Gage, on the other hand, leaned back like he was on a date, arms stretched, talking with his hands, interrupting every few seconds. Ibrahim entered 5 minutes later. Gage stood and shook his hand firmer this time, probably assumed the man in the suit was the real decision-maker. They moved into the conference room. I watched the door close, then turned back to my laptop. An hour later, Olivia walked in. "Well," she said, "your brother's still a jackass." I looked up. "Tell me everything." "He called me sweetheart twice, said he was overqualified but willing to help us out, asked if we had a golf membership perk." I laughed. "What did Ibrahim say?" He smiled, took notes, didn't say much. "Perfect." She sat down. "You really want to hire him?" "I want to see what happens when he doesn't get special treatment." She raised an eyebrow. "You're playing with fire." "I'm fireproof." The next day, I sent the offer letter. Entry-level analyst. Salary just above minimum wage. No perks. No title fluff. Real work. Real hours. He accepted within the hour. His first day was Monday. He walked in wearing a designer blazer and no clue what he was walking into. Olivia greeted him again. This time he remembered her title. "Looking forward to working with you," he said, trying to sound humble. She handed him a welcome packet and pointed toward Ibrahim's office. "Your manager's waiting." He blinked. "Oh, I thought I'd be working with someone more senior." "You are," she said. "Ibrahim's the head of the department." He looked confused but followed instructions. I watched from my office, door shut. I didn't plan to interact. Not yet. By Wednesday, Ibrahim had already sent me 3 flagged emails, missed deadlines, incomplete reports. Gage had asked a junior associate to handle the boring parts of a client brief. I called Olivia in. "Keep him on a short leash," I said. "He's already tangling it around his neck," she replied. By Friday, he'd submitted a pitch deck with entire paragraphs copied from a competitor's website. Ibrahim walked into my office, closed the door behind him. "We have a problem," he said, laying the printed pages on my desk. I scanned them, word for word. "Fire him," I said. Ibrahim hesitated. "Are you sure?" I looked up. "Would you be asking if he wasn't my brother?" He didn't answer. I sighed. "No, don't fire him." "Not yet." He raised an eyebrow. "Make him fix it. Set a deadline. No help. If he fails, then we let him go." Ibrahim nodded slowly. "Understood." That weekend my parents showed up, unannounced. I was at the office, working late, when the receptionist buzzed me. "There's a couple here asking for you. They say they're your parents." I stared at the phone. "Send them to conference room B." They walked in 10 minutes later. My mum was holding a tin of cookies. My dad looked like he hadn't slept. "Annabelle," she said. smiling too wide. We were in the area. I didn't offer them a seat. What do you want? She blinked. Just checking in. How's Gage doing? I crossed my arms. You should ask him. We did, my dad said. He says it's challenging. I said nothing. My mom stepped forward. We're just worried. He's not used to this kind of environment. You mean one where he actually has to work? She flinched. That's not fair. No, I said. What's not fair is watching him coast through life while I clawed my way out of a hole you dug for me. My dad cleared his throat. We didn't come here to argue. Then why are you here? They exchanged a look. Maybe you could mentor him, my mum said. Guide him a little. I laughed loudly. You want me to babysit your grown son? We just want him to succeed, she said. I stared at them. You should have thought about that 10 years ago. They left without saying goodbye. Monday morning, Gage was in early. He looked tired. The deck had been redone. It wasn't good, but it wasn't plagiarised. Ibrahim handed it to me. Your call. I read it, then slid it back. Let him present it. Sink or swim. Ibrahim nodded. As Gage walked by my office later, he glanced in. Our eyes met for half a second. I didn't smile. He looked away. Good. Let him feel it. Let him earn it. Or don't. Gage showed up for his first big client presentation, wearing a blazer 2 sizes too tight and a smile like he was about to charm his way out of doing actual work. I watched from the observation room behind the one-way glass, arms crossed, sipping a coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Ibrahim stood at the front of the conference room, setting up the screen. Gage leaned against the table, scrolling through his phone like he was waiting for bottle service. Is he seriously texting right now? Olivia asked, standing beside me. Wait for it, I said. The clients walked in, a trio from a mid-sized retail chain we were hoping to lock down for a full rebrand. Gage straightened up, flashed his teeth, and stepped forward before Ibrahim could open his mouth. Welcome, welcome, Gage said, extending his hand. You're in good hands today. I'll be walking you through our strategy. Ibrahim didn't flinch. He just returned to the laptop and clicked to the first slide. Gage launched into the pitch like he was auditioning for Shark Tank. Buzzwords. Empty promises. No data. He even cracked a joke about millennial attention spans that landed like a brick. One of the clients glanced at his watch. Another scribbled something in a notebook. Ibrahim stepped in halfway through, gently redirecting the conversation, grounding it with actual numbers and projections. Gage looked annoyed, like someone had interrupted his solo. When it ended, the clients nodded politely and left with tight smiles. Ibrahim closed his laptop. Gage leaned back in his chair. Crushed it, he said. I turned to Olivia. He's delusional, she sighed. You want me to talk to him? No, I said. Let him keep thinking he's winning. Later that afternoon, I passed Gage in the hallway. He didn't say anything. Just nodded like we were colleagues, like he didn't know I was the one who'd signed his offer letter. I stopped at the break room. Marcus, one of our junior analysts, was making coffee. Hey, I said. How's it going? He glanced around, then leaned in. Gage told me to redo his report, said it was beneath him. I clenched my jaw. Did you? No, Marcus said. I told Ibrahim. Good. I walked back to my office, shut the door, and pulled up Gage's employee file. He was 3 weeks in. No improvements, no accountability, but I wasn't done with him yet. The next morning, I called Ibrahim. I want him on the next internal review panel, I said. Ibrahim raised an eyebrow. He's not qualified. Exactly, he nodded. Understood. The panel was a monthly meeting where department heads reviewed ongoing projects and gave feedback. It wasn't glamorous, just charts, metrics, and real talk. Gage showed up late. Again. He slid into the seat next to Ibrahim, whispering something with a smirk. Ibrahim didn't respond. As the first analyst presented, Gage scrolled on his phone. When it was his turn to comment, he said, Looks solid, just make it pop more. I saw Olivia's eye twitch from across the table. The next presenter was a junior designer. She'd been working on a rebrand campaign for a boutique hotel chain. Her mock-ups were clean, smart, and backed by solid market research. Gage leaned forward. Have you considered using more gold? It feels cheap. She blinked. The client asked for minimalist. Minimalist doesn't have to mean boring, he said, waving a hand. I cleared my throat. Every head turned. I stood from the back of the room. Gage, I said. Do you know the client's target demographic? He blinked. Upscale travellers? Wrong. Mid-range families, budget conscious. They specifically requested neutral tones to avoid alienating their base. He opened his mouth. Closed it. I turned to the designer. Your work is on point. Proceed. She smiled, relieved. I looked back at Gage. Stay after. The room emptied fast. He stood awkwardly, hands in his pockets. What's up? He asked, trying to sound casual. I walked to the front of the room. Do you know who I am? He frowned. What? I mean, really? Do you know what I do here? He hesitated. You're in upper management, right? I stepped aside and pointed at the plaque on the wall behind me. The one with my name. The one that said CEO. He stared at it. Then at me. No way, he said. I didn't smile. You've been working here for 3 weeks. You've disrespected your co-workers, ignored instructions, and failed every basic expectation. And you didn't even bother to learn who runs the company. He looked like he'd been slapped. I didn't know, he stammered. I know. That's the problem. He looked down. Why didn't you say anything? Because I wanted to see who you really are when no one's watching. Silence. I gave you a chance, I said. Not because I believed in you, but because I wanted you to see what it feels like to earn something. He swallowed hard. Are you going to fire me? No, I said. Not yet. You're going to fix your attitude. You're going to do the work. And if I hear one more complaint, you're out. He nodded, eyes wide. Dismissed. He walked out slower than usual. Olivia stepped in a minute later. You finally told him? Yeah. She sat down. How'd it feel? I looked at the plaque. Like the beginning of something, she nodded. Or the end. I didn't answer. I just stared at the door he'd walked through and waited. Gage lasted exactly 4 days before screwing up again. This time, he emailed a client the wrong deck, one from a completely different industry. The client was confused. Ibrahim was livid. Olivia forwarded me the chain with a subject line that just read, He's testing your patience, right? I called Ibrahim. Let him fix it, I said. He doesn't know how. Then he'll learn. I hung up before I could change my mind. That afternoon, I watched Gage from my office window. He sat at his desk, hunched over, clicking and deleting, clicking and deleting. For once, he wasn't talking to anyone. No fake charm, no swagger, just a guy in a wrinkled shirt trying to dig himself out of a hole. He looked up and caught me watching. I didn't look away. Later that week, my parents showed up again. They didn't even call first, just walked into the lobby like they owned the place. The receptionist buzzed me. Your parents are here again. Should I? Put them in the small conference room, I said. I'll be there in 10. Olivia walked in as I was grabbing my tablet. They really don't get it, do they? Nope. You want me to sit in? No. I've got it. When I walked into the room, my mum was rearranging the chairs like she was hosting brunch. My dad was pacing. Annabelle, she said, smiling. We were just in the area again. Cut the crap, I said, sitting. What's going on? My dad stopped pacing. We're concerned. About? Gage, my mum said. He's not doing well. I waited. He's overwhelmed, she continued. He says the environment is hostile. I laughed. Hostile? You mean accountable? He's not used to this kind of pressure, my dad said. I looked at them. Neither was I. But you didn't seem too concerned back then. My mum's smile faltered. We just want to make sure he's being treated fairly. Fairly? I leaned forward. He's been handed more chances in 3 weeks than I got in 3 years. My dad's jaw clenched. We're not here to argue. Then what are you here for? They didn't answer. I stood. He'll either rise to the occasion or he won't. That's his problem now. My mum reached into her bag and pulled out a checkbook. I stared at it. We're behind on the mortgage, she said quietly. Your father's pension got cut. We thought maybe... I held up a hand. No, she blinked. Just to help us get through the... No. My dad looked at me like he didn't recognise me. We're your parents. And I was your daughter, until he came along. They didn't argue. I left the room. Olivia was waiting by the elevators. They ask for money? I nodded. Did you give it to them? No, she exhaled. Good. Back in my office, I sat down and stared at the ceiling. The satisfaction I thought I'd feel wasn't there. Just a dull ache in my chest and a lingering taste of something bitter. The next day, Gage was quiet. He didn't flirt with the receptionist. He didn't crack jokes in the break room. He sat at his desk and worked. Ibrahim knocked on my door around noon. He redid the deck, he said. It's not great, but it's clean, accurate. Progress, I said. Ibrahim hesitated. He asked if he could shadow one of the senior analysts. I raised an eyebrow. He said he wants to learn. I nodded. Let him. Ibrahim turned to leave, then paused. You know this is eating at you, right? I looked up. What? This game you're playing. It's not winning, it's bleeding. I didn't respond. He left. That night, Olivia and I stayed late, working through a proposal for a new healthcare client. You okay? She asked, not looking up from her laptop. I'm fine. You're lying, I sighed. They asked me for money. She closed her laptop. Wow. Mortgages behind, pensions cut. They didn't even try to hide it. And you said no? Yeah. Good. I stared at the wall. I thought it would feel better. Olivia leaned back. You've been climbing this mountain for 10 years, Belle, and now you're at the top, but you're still looking down. I didn't say anything. She stood, grabbed her coat. Just don't forget to look around once in a while. The office was quiet after she left. I walked out to the floor, past the rows of empty desks. Gage was still there. He looked up when I passed. Hey, he said. I stopped. Ibrahim said I could sit in on a client call tomorrow. Good, I said. He nodded. I'm trying. I looked at him. For the first time, I almost believed him. Keep trying, I said. That's all you've got. He nodded again, quieter this time. I walked away. Back in my office, I sat down and stared at the city lights outside. Everything I wanted was here. And yet, something still felt missing. But I wasn't done. Not yet. The receptionist buzzed my office just after 11 a.m. They're here. I stood, smoothed the front of my blazer, and walked to the elevator lobby. Martina, Leo and Gage were clustered near the water cooler, all three looking out of place in our sleek, glass-walled office. My mother clutched her purse like it was a lifeline. My father's mouth was set in a flat line. Gage looked like he hadn't slept in days. They didn't see me. Not yet. I nodded at the receptionist. Let them wait a few more minutes. She gave a slight smirk. Of course. I walked back into the executive suite and closed the door behind me. Olivia was already waiting at the long table, a tablet in hand. You sure you want to do this? She asked. Yes. She nodded. Then let's make it clean. I gave her a look. No blood, just truth. 5 minutes later, the receptionist buzzed again. They're ready. I pressed the intercom. Send them up. A few moments passed. Then came the knock. Come in, I said. The door opened. My parents stepped in first, followed by Gage. They froze. There it was, my name, etched in brushed steel on the wall behind me. CEO, large, unmistakable. Gage's eyes widened. My mother's mouth opened slightly. My father's face went pale. I gestured to the chairs across from me. Have a seat. No one moved. You're the CEO? My mother finally said. I am. Gage blinked. Since when? Since the beginning. He sat down slowly. My father remained standing. You've been lying to us. No. You just never asked. Olivia slid a folder across the table. Let's begin. My mother reached for it with trembling fingers. Inside were performance reviews, client feedback, and a formal notice of Gage's probation status. This is harsh, she whispered. It's honest, I said. This is how we treat every employee. No exceptions. Gage looked at me. You set me up. I gave you a job. You set yourself up. He leaned forward. You wanted me to fail. No, I said. I wanted you to see what it feels like to earn something. My father finally sat. You've changed. I had to. My mother looked at Olivia. You let this happen? Olivia smiled. I helped build it. Silence stretched across the room. Gage rubbed his temples. I didn't know. I thought you were just doing okay. I didn't think you were this. I leaned forward. You didn't think about me at all. He looked down. My mother cleared her throat. So what now? You keep him on? Let him suffer? I stared at her. He's an adult. He can choose to grow or go. That's up to him. My father stood. This is cruel. No, I said. This is karma. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. My mother's voice cracked. We're your family, I stood. You made that clear when you chose him over me. Over and over. She shook her head. We did what we thought was right. No, I said. You did what was easy. The room went quiet. Olivia tapped her tablet. We're done here. They stood. Gage lingered. I'm not asking for a handout, he said. Good, I replied. Because you won't get one. He nodded slowly. I'll do better. Then prove it. He walked out. My parents followed, silent. The door clicked shut behind them. Olivia exhaled. Damn. I sat back down. Think they got the message? She asked. They got something. She leaned forward. You okay? I looked at the empty chairs across from me. I don't know. She stood. I'll give you a minute. When she left, I turned to the window. Down below, I saw them exit the building. My mother clutched my father's arm. Gage walked behind them, slower, smaller. They didn't look back. I didn't expect them to. I picked up the folder they'd left behind. Inside was the final page of Gage's review. Ibrahim's notes were blunt but fair. Shows potential, needs direction, lacks humility. I closed it and set it aside. Then I looked at the plaque on the wall. Community college wasn't a punishment. It was prep. For this. The office was quiet. Too quiet. No ringing phones, no clacking keyboards, no Olivia yelling across the floor for someone to fix a formatting error. Just the low hum of the AC and the soft tap of my heels on the polished floor as I walked toward the glass wall. Gage's desk was empty. Ibrahim walked up beside me holding a folder. He didn't show up today, he said. Did he call? No, but he cleared out his things. I nodded. Okay. Ibrahim hesitated. You want me to follow up? No, let it go. He gave a short nod and walked away. I stood there a moment longer, staring at the empty chair, the same one I'd watched him slump in, fumble through reports, fake confidence, the same chair where I'd hoped, maybe, just maybe, he'd figure it out, but he didn't. And maybe he wasn't supposed to. Back in my office, Olivia was waiting, arms crossed. So, she said, he's gone. I sat down. Looks like it. She tossed a manila envelope onto my desk. Final paycheck. Ibrahim said to sign it. I opened it, pulled out the check and stared at the name. Do we mail it? Already did, she said. Along with his exit paperwork. I nodded. Thanks. Olivia didn't move. You okay? I'm fine. She frowned. You don't look fine. I leaned back. What does fine look like? Not like someone who just won the war and forgot how to celebrate. I didn't answer. She sat down across from me. You got what you wanted. They saw you. All of them. They saw everything. Yeah. And? I looked at her. And it didn't fix anything. Olivia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, maybe it wasn't supposed to. I glanced at the window. The city stretched out in every direction, tall and cold and full of people who didn't know or care what it took to get here. I thought it would feel like justice, I said. It was, she replied. Just not the kind that hugs you after. I laughed, a short, tired sound. She stood. You still seeing Rosalind? Skipped a few weeks. Go back. I picked up my phone and stared at the screen. I'll call her. Good. She walked to the door, then paused. You're not alone, Belle, even when it feels like it. I nodded. After she left, I sat there for a while, staring at the empty chair across from me. Then I picked up the phone and dialed. Rosalind speaking. It's Annabelle. Oh, she said, surprised. Hi, it's been a little while. Yeah, I know. You want to come in? I looked around my office, the awards on the shelf, the framed first check from our first client, the photo of Olivia and me on the day we opened this place. Yeah, I said. I think I do. Rosalind's office smelled like lavender and old books. She offered me tea, which I declined, and waited until I sat before speaking. You look tired, she said. I am, she nodded. Tell me. I took a breath. They came to my office. My parents. Gage. She raised an eyebrow. How did that go? They found out I'm the CEO. And? They were shocked. Then they were ashamed. Then they asked for money. She didn't flinch. Did you give it to them? No. Why not? Because they didn't earn it. She smiled faintly. And you did. I did. We sat in silence for a moment. And yet, she said, you're here. I thought revenge would feel better. Did it feel good at all? I nodded. At first. And now? It feels empty. Rosalind leaned forward. Because revenge doesn't rebuild, it only burns. I looked down at my hands. So what now? You decide what comes next. You've proven your worth. Now you get to figure out who you are without the weight of proving it. I didn't respond. She didn't push. When I left her office, the sun was already setting. I walked instead of calling a car. The streets buzzed with noise and traffic and life. I passed a bookstore, a bakery, a flower shop. All places I once helped survive. All places that trusted me before I had a title. My phone buzzed, a text from Gage. Thanks for the opportunity. I wasn't ready. I hope you keep building something great. No excuses, no blame, just honesty. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed, Despatis. I will. Take care of yourself. I didn't expect a reply. I didn't need one. Back at the office, I found Olivia in the break room, pouring herself a glass of wine. She held up the bottle. You in? I nodded. One glass. We sat on the couch, shoes off, the city glowing behind us. You know what they used to tell me? I said. What? That I was too practical. That I should be more like Gage, charming, bold, magnetic. Olivia raised her glass. Screw that. I clinked mine against hers. They wanted me to be practical. I took a sip. Now they know, I said. Karma is too.